so that he could have been nailed. But
All
when
right.
Gopal, yeah.
Well, Priyanka, we understand you did speak to, as you mentioned, you did speak to Geetika's mother in earlier occasions and other family members as well. But right now, when you try to speak to Gaurav, that's Geetika's brother, he was in bad shape, couldn't speak to you. Tell us if you were able to get in touch with his father also, and if not, then in earlier occasions when you did speak to them, did you feel that they were undergoing any sort of a pressure? Was Gopal Goyal Kanda trying to influence or use his influence to pressurize them to withdraw the case against him?
Yeah, Geetika's family, but they were really, they were fearless. When Geetika died, the first interview which we took was Geetika's mother's interview. She was right there when she was coming down from the stairs, and she stayed there for around 5 minutes. She talked to every single media channel, and she has given her views. So for me, she was a brave lady. She had the courage to face through everyone to fight for the justice of her daughter Geetika Sharma, who had died because of Gopal Goyal Kanda. Geetika's mother was, a brave lady, according to me, and her brother Gaurav, when he was in Bombay when Geetika Sharma died, he also had a word with Geetika before few hours before Geetika Sharma died. And Gaurav and his mother, both of them, were so much determined that they have to bring Gopal Goyal Kanda behind the bars, that they gave every single bit of information which they have given to the Delhi police. But there were a few reports, according to my sources, whenever they figure out that Gopal Goyal Kanda's men were still trying to, convince Geetika's family that they should close the case, that they shouldn't go further. But the family was very much determined that they have to bring they have to send Gopal Goyal Kanda behind the bars for the case of abetment to suicide of their own daughter. Gaurav was also, very vocal to the media. He has spoken every single time the media channels have approached them. And her mother was also, for me, she was a brave lady who had to fight for justice of her daughter. So I still wonder that how is it possible that this news has come from Ashok Vihar area. When I heard about this information, there was initial information which said that Geetika Sharma's mother has committed suicide. It was a shocking thing because I've met that woman personally, and she was a brave lady. So we have to talk to the senior officials of the Delhi police, and since the inquiry will proceed in this case, we will be able to know that what was the exact reason because of which she has committed suicide. Although the family members have told us that she was depressed at some times. Obviously, her daughter has died, and there were so many, false rumors which were floated by Gopal Goyal Kanda's men that Geetika Sharma's character wasn't good, and so many things followed to that. So obviously,
there's the point. There's the point. Is it because of those false rumors? Is it because of the society? Did you feel when you spoke to her family that they were in some kind of a pressure? If not because of Gopal Goyal Kanda, well, that's totally a separate issue that he was trying to exercise influence. But then what about the society? Did they feel pressurized?
That is a small society in which they used to live. It's really near to the Ashok Vihar police station, and basically businessmen and people from middle class stay there. So definitely there must be some kind of pressure because the reports which came in media or the rumors which were floated by the Gopal Goyal Kanda's men were enough to give a sense of insecurity for the family about their daughter's reputation, because the family was really proud of their daughter. So for sure this thing could have affected her, but we'll have to wait and watch and see whether she has left any suicide note or not.
Right.
And on the basis of that only the law will take its action, and on the basis of that the culprit, if
Priyanka, stay with us. We have with us right now BJP leader Meenakshi Lekhi for more on that. Meenakshi, Geetika's mother has also committed suicide. What's your first reaction on that?
Very sad and extremely, stressful, because when someone's family is suffering, one can go through humiliation, and the kind of depression can happen to somebody. And because somebody is in a depression, and it could have been caused due to the daughter's death and the kind of humiliation family must be undergoing, and under those circumstances, I think this has happened. The rest, of course, the legal course of action would be that suicide, there's a case, and that case will follow up whether there's a suicide note, there's no suicide note, and the circumstances surrounding the death which needs to be looked into.
But what would you like to tell people like her, who've been suffering due to some sort of a pressure, either from society or because of some very tragic incident that occurred in that person's family? What would you like to say to such people?
You see, I think counseling and mental health issues somewhere are ignored in our country. And that is one thing that a family or a particular person in a family is going through a huge amount of stress and tension, and that actually could have been treated, and the lady could have been shown to a psychiatrist or a psychologist in the counseling and therapy, because it is heartrending that the daughter goes through a very difficult life and goes through that situation. And then the mother has to undergo the humiliation and the fact that the daughter is so under those circumstances, this has to be sort of looked into differently.
Right, Meenakshi, also, there are some of the sources are suggesting that perhaps it was Gopal Goyal Kanda who, sitting inside the jail, was trying to influence the witnesses and was trying to even pressurize the family to withdraw the case. In such circumstances, what do you think should be done?
You see, those situations, as a lawyer, I have to tread with caution. Now, these are allegations, and if these allegations are there, that will be an FIR needs to be registered, and based on that FIR, it needs to be investigated, the call details, witnesses, etc., who have been influenced. If mother was receiving, or anybody else from the family was receiving any kinds of threats, etc., everything needs to be brought on record, and based on that record, there will be a separate case, and that case can be made against Gopal Kanda, abetment to suicide.
All right, Meenakshi Lekhi, thanks very much for joining us and sharing your views with us here at NewsX. Also joining me now is Ranjana Kumari, women's rights activist. Thanks very much, Ranjana, for joining us. What's your first reaction to this tragic incident?
Well, this is really tragic. I'm really sorry to hear about mother also losing her life to this such unfortunate incidents. I think this speaks volumes about how women face this kind of crime. Not only that, they are her daughter gone, but also I'm sure they have put pressure on her. I can't, imagine she not being under a lot of social shame, all kinds of pressure from all kinds of goons and politicos around. I think there must be something more to it for her to be forced to, and there's somebody who's abated this suicide, so there should be a proper investigation, and also to find out what is the link between Kanda and her daughter's suicide and then she committing the suicide.
Absolutely, those links need to be investigated upon, but do you think, as Meenakshi Lekhi earlier pointed out, that at times it's just about the depression a person is going through because her daughter is no more, and then also some bit of a humiliation perhaps in the society?
Well, certainly this is what the whole social shame does to a woman, that they put so much pressure, the family puts, the relatives put pressure, the neighborhood, wherever, and also she's lost a daughter, and it takes so much time before investigations are completed, charge sheet is filed. The whole system is so insensitive, whether it is the legal system or whether society around a woman. If something goes wrong, there are hardly any people who will come forward to hold hand and to say that we are by you to fight your battle. There will be more people who will ridicule, who will pass all kinds of comments and make the person feel more, drive the person to a kind of depression and finally push the person to commit suicide. But I think this must be more to do with certainly what Kanda's case is, and all the people around him, what they have done. So all communication must be seized, all kinds of phone calls must be recorded, the records must be taken, so that the police should ascertain, and this is really very, very unfortunate, and this speaks volumes about what kind of treatment women are given in our society and how they're driven to suicide. This is a real typical case of this nature, where women's own helplessness, first to protect her daughter and finally able to protect herself.
Well, certainly, it speaks volumes about the kind of treatment women meet in our society. But as you said earlier, this case perhaps has more to do with the influence of Gopal Kanda, he being an ex-minister, he being a politically influential person there. In such specific cases, Ranjana, you are a women's rights activist. What do you think should be the right step further? Because already a family has faced a tragedy, another tragedy in a year's time.
Well, there is clear link between at least people who are observing the whole thing. We spoke out about whatever Gopal Kanda was absconding, not surrendering at that time. Media, along with all of us, put a lot of pressure on that whole thing. I'm sure with this kind of a political position that Kanda was in, and the way even after his being arrested, the way incidents have unfolded, certainly there is a link. Certainly I can say that, not only that she was under a lot of pressure, but perhaps somebody has threatened her, perhaps somebody is trying to bully her. She just couldn't take it. She first to lose her daughter, then secondly to lose a daughter to such a person who is, being still protected by the society, by the politicians, by his friends. In fact, there were a birthday party or something where all these kind of news traveled out. So she may have lost all hope, who knows that first I lose my daughter and then there is no hope for justice. And this is something which needs to be investigated properly. But what really drove her to commit this suicide? Is it suicide or something else? That also needs to be investigated.
Absolutely. Well, pressure, circumstances and helplessness above all could be the factors that lead to suicide in such cases. But Ranjana Kumari, thanks very much for joining us and sharing your views here at NewsX. And well, tragedy was under pressure. It seems in 2007 there was an initiation of cancellation of contract here, and show cause notice is what Alright, excuses for the bit of a wrong graphics there on the screen, but let's now go across to my colleague Deepak Bajpai for more on this very tragic event this evening. Deepak, now we did speak to two women there, one political who is from a political party and the other one who's a women's rights activist. Both were of the view that investigation should certainly be done in this particular case because it has a larger angle of a politically influential person involved here who was a minister at one point, and in all probability he could have been one of the reasons behind the entire pressure on the family, isn't it?
Well, Piyushi, first an update on this story. Anuradha Sharma, Geetika's mother, was alone home, and she was home alone, and she was also locked from outside. Now the family members are saying that with her consent she was locked from outside. When the family members came back, opened the lock and went inside, she was found hanging from the ceiling fan. So circumstances not very clear. Police is still are not confirming that they found a suicide note or not. The circumstances is not very clear as yet. Police sources are saying that they are investigating the matter. Forensic team is also rushing to the spot to assess the situation and see what were the circumstances, whether it's a natural hanging, I mean the lady committed suicide by hanging, or whether she was killed and hanged from the ceiling fan. So nothing is clear as yet. The family members are claiming that when they came back, they opened the lock and opened the door. When they went inside, they found that Anuradha Sharma was hanging from the ceiling fan. The police was immediately informed. Police reached the spot. They are assessing the situation as yet. The cause of suicide is not known yet. They are saying that there's no clarity on why Anuradha Sharma committed suicide. So this is the the primary update on the thing, on the incident. And of course, this angle is also being looked into, whether she was under pressure, whether she was being approached by Gopal Kanda's side to not to pursue the case any further. So that aspect of course is being looked into at this point, but no clarity on why she committed suicide, and the circumstances, of course, are suspicious.
Well, circumstances surely suspicious there, but Deepak, the thing that you pointed out, the update that you've given us is that her mother was locked from outside. Why so?
Well, no clarity as yet on that, but of course the family members are saying that usually they do it if someone is resting in some room. They go out, and if they want to come back, they do not want to disturb the member, so they lock her or him from outside, and that was done in Anuradha Sharma's case. We could not talk to the family. We tried speaking to Gaurav Sharma, Anuradha Sharma's son, Geetika's brother, but he was not in a state to give straight answers. He was crying, he was not comprehensive. So this is the information which is coming from police sources initially. These are very preliminary pieces of information that we are getting from the police. One, that the family had locked Anuradha Sharma from outside, that gone out. When they came back, they found Anuradha Sharma hanging from the ceiling fan.
Alright, so just for a bit of a clarity, Deepak, it was the house that was locked, or her room was also locked?
No, it was the house which was locked from the outside and not the room.
Alright, so house locked from outside, and when the family reaches home, they find this shocker, a very tragic happening there. Anuradha Sharma no more. Well, Deepak, also tell us now, of course, as you're saying, the circumstances are not very clear as to why that happened, and exact cause is not known yet because the story is just developing and you're finding out more news from the sources. But what is the police saying?
Well, police are saying that they got the information through Anuradha's brother, who is Geetika's uncle. He informed the police that Anuradha Sharma's body was found hanging from a ceiling fan in a room, and he also, the police party reached and they spoke to Geetika's uncle and Anuradha's brother. They told that they had gone out and had locked Anuradha Sharma from outside with a consent, and when they came back, opened the lock, they found that the body was hanging. So there's no confirmation about any suicide note being found from the room. So no clarity about why Anuradha Sharma committed suicide and whether it is a suicide at all. The forensic team is also going to Geetika's flat to ascertain whether it's a suicide on the face of it or it's a case of murder, though autopsy will clearly tell whether it's a case of suicide or it's a murder.
Alright, Deepak, also now, you said that there were three more people after Geetika and her family, and now there are just two left. It's her father and her brother who are there. Brother, you did try and speak to, and he was not in the shape to actually talk to because he was crying, as you suggested earlier. But what about her father?
Well, there's no clarity because what we are hearing from the police sources that Gaurav, Geetika's brother, was not there. He was out of town, but no clarity about that. This is preliminary information that is coming, that Gaurav was not there. It was his father and uncle who were there. So the things that police are trying to find out where all the family members were, whether they were being approached by Gopal Khanna's side, or were they being pressurized or not? What are the circumstances on under which this lady has committed suicide, and is there a suicide note at all? And even if they recover a suicide note, it will be about whether it was written by Anuradha Sharma or not, whether it was the handwriting match will happen. So there are a lot of technicalities. As of now, the circumstances seem very suspicious because the house was locked from outside. There has to be some explanation from the family why the house was locked from outside, and the police are also doing a background check whether after Geetika's suicide whether Anuradha Sharma was under depression or not.
Alright, Deepak, stay with us. Also with me is Priyank now, who's joined us again. Priyank, as Deepak was putting forth, that police is trying to piece together all the little inputs and clues that they are getting to find out what exactly led to this suicide. But in the initial information, it was told that Geetika's uncle informed the police that her mother Anuradha Sharma committed suicide, and her body is found hanging in the flat where they lived. But what is the police saying now? Because we believe that there were 2-3 more people in her family. In fact, 2 people were there in the family, but her uncle was also around. So who all were there around at this time, or she was totally alone?
Yeah, but this is information which we have got. Initially, the call was sent to Delhi police around 5:50. So this was the time at which the PCI call was made by her family members that she has been found hanging inside her house with the ceiling fan. This was the initial information which the Delhi police got. We know that the same team of Delhi police have investigated the case of Geetika Sharma. They have been to that house so many times. So the moment they got to know that Geetika's mother, Anuradha Sharma, who was the main complainant in this murder case, abetment to suicide case of Geetika Sharma, was dead inside her house. So Delhi police team rushed to the spot and she was found dead inside her house. Right now, the senior officials have also reached to the spot. But the main angle which is coming out from this case is that Anuradha Sharma was the main complainant. We know Music has a copy of that complaint in our archive, which shows the kind of letter, the complaint which Geetika's mother has written to the Delhi police, which clearly showed that Gopal Golkanda. I still remember it was a 2-page complaint copy which was written by Anuradha Sharma by her hand, that Geetika Sharma was time by time forced by Gopal Golkanda. She was lured by Gopal Golkanda and she was made false promises by Gopal Golkanda, and Gopal Golkanda only forced her to come back from Dubai. Yeah, back to you.
Priyank, we'll have to leave it there, but thanks very much for joining us with all the latest as far as this news is concerned. So the breaking news we got here is that Anuradha Sharma, Geetika Sharma's mother, has also committed suicide. At least that's what the initial reports are suggesting, but the fact remains that her body was found hanging on a ceiling fan, with a ceiling fan in fact, when her family members returned home.